So, getting started. What you want to say dictates just about everything else. You know, what's your passion project? What do you get into the most? What have you got the most drive to do? Because this is going to be work. There is no amount of preparation that's going to get you through the first couple of pages you do, because you're going to be spending up late nights. You're going to be doing 2 and 3 in the morning and going into work at 5. You know, it's going to take effort. So you got to be passionate about what you want to put up there on the screen and talk to people about it. What do you want to share? You know, saying kind of ties into the first thing a lot, but you know, about your fandom is something worth sharing. Like if you're in Studio Trigger stuff, it's amazing because they always go into space, and it's like, because Trigger. Is it a KyoAni thing, and it's just beautiful animation, and their studio caught on fire, and more people should know about them. What is it about your fandom that is worthwhile? What is worthwhile about your fandom? Not just because of the content itself, but what is worthwhile for the other person to hear? What is worthwhile for your time? Like I said, it's going to take effort to get through getting this thing put together, especially if you do multiple panels in a day. It's going to be draining. You know, it's kind of a cost and weight and a measurement system. You know, what payoff are you going to get for doing this, and how well are you going to be able to do it? So picking your content, you want to kind of stick to your strengths. Again, what is your knowledge level? What can you speak to for an hour or more and fill that amount of time? A lot of times people go out to Wikipedia or online articles or whatnot, they'll grab extra information. So you don't have to know everything out of the box. You should have a pretty good grasp of what you're getting into. Time and equipment. I've got a laptop, I've got a clicker. We're going to go into more of this a little bit later, but you're looking at something. This is a fairly simple panel. It's all made in PowerPoint. It's got some images in it. I hammered this out in 6 hours. So make sure you can get to your con. Make sure that you can prepare adequately. You know, you're a human being. You need water, food, sleep, rest, etc. So just make sure you can get it all in there. Time is also a factor too, because, and we'll get into this a little bit more detail here in a bit. Realistically, an hour-long block is what most cons will use. Really, that means you have about 40 to 45 minutes to speak. Because you're going to have setup time, you have teardown time. You really want to be out of there before the next group comes in. So what type of panel and presentation? Myself, I think there's really 4 categories that cover 99% of what's out there. Teaching, showing, doing, discussion. Some examples of that. Teaching could be about a series. You could also be showing about a series, which would be like, this thing is awesome because of this. You could be teaching somebody the more intricate workings, like let's say Steins Gate panel, and you want to talk about time travel theory, or how does this thing relate to this thing and all these other series out there in the greater, like the Science Adventure series. That's part of that. You might want to do a workshop panel where you go through and you build stuff, or you teach people how to style a wig. Game show stuff. We're doing one later, which is going to be an improv type thing where you get random cards with a topic and you have to assemble that into an anime. So you can do a basic game show. You can do something with marbles and random game prizes and things too. Voice actor trials. This one's a little bit more difficult because you need a lot of hardware and people to do it, but it could be a comedy thing. Cosplay type stuff. There's lots of that going on right now. You can go through and teach people about cosplay, expand on different topics, try and get that to the point where people are proficient themselves. Equipment-wise, Clicker. Clicker is a great thing to have. You get them on Amazon. You don't have to buy a Logitech one. A lot of knockoff brands are just fine. This one's like $8, $9, so pretty good. You're probably going to want a laptop or some sort of tablet that has HDMI out, probably an audio out on it too. If you get something that has a integrated audio chip, so you've got your microphone and your headphone input on the same port, you're probably going to need a splitter. A A lot of cons, unfortunately, are still using older equipment. Projectors are expensive, so you might need VGA adapters to connect up to that. You probably want a display port. A lot of cons try to take care of this for you, but more often than not, it's better to just be self-sufficient. With the clickers, again, a lot of them have a red laser part of them. The green is actually somewhat beneficial because on a lot of TVs, if you're going to be doing presentations, maybe you don't have a projector at some point, the green will actually work on a TV screen. You're going to want any type of props, maybe illustrate your point. Maybe you've done cosplay for that series before and you just want to show it off. Your presentation software, watch, desk clock found at a Goodwill for $3 can be helpful in keeping you on time if you have issues with stretching the panel. You can do examples of stuff that's either in your presentation. Sometimes it's good to have handouts. By that I mean take your notes. If you've got a lot of data where people can follow up on things, maybe put your logo in there. With links, there's a lot of systems out there now, like you can make a QR code or a URL, go through there, and that way they can link up to your page, go to your Facebook, get started with that type of stuff, maybe download a package of information from your panel. There's Bitly web links, there's Google Drive, all that stuff can be very useful for that. You might want your own microphone. The image there has got one that's also off Amazon, and it's about $30. It'll hook up to your computer. It's got a little USB adapter with an audio out. That'll get you straight into your computer. It's really helpful if you want to record separately. That way you've got an audio track and then maybe a video track, and you can sync the two up later, make it sound better. You might also want an advanced microphone on your recording device. Like we've got a camera here on the side that's recording a presentation. You might want a directional mic for that or something, because your cell phone, a lot of the stuff that's built in is just really bad at recording in a large room. You sound like you're in a tin can or really far away, and it's just bad for you. Like it says there, recording. You might want to put a 256 or 128 gig memory card in your phone so you can record, 4 or 5 hours of footage. That way you can put it up if you've got followers on YouTube or you want to do something with social media. Even for just proofing yourself and going, oh man, that was a bad thing. I really could use to improve on that. I'll work on that by reviewing my own panels. That can be really helpful. A peer-to-peer casting stick. Now there's Chromecast out there, which has gotten more advanced. I think we have circle ones now. But those aren't really the same thing as a peer-to-peer casting stick. What you're wanting there is generally like I think Action Tech makes one, Microsoft makes one, and it's basically a mirroring stick. It doesn't require Wi-Fi in order to get out. You don't have to send something up to the internet, look at it, beam it back down to your TV, laptop, whatever. A peer-to-peer stick just says, within the realm of this room at 30 feet, I'm going to send a signal from point A to point B and play. So that can be really helpful if you're using a cell phone, a device, you want to bypass the cables, get a random television someplace, you can just jam that thing in the side, you're up and running. And they're not all that expensive either. They're generally 40, maybe $50 sometimes. You're going to want something to drink. In this case, I don't have something to drink, which is a terrible idea because I can get dry throat, get started to be really squeaky. You're talking a lot, you're breathing a lot, and your throat will just fail you. So you generally want, water. I would avoid stuff that's sugary and carbonated like Cokes and that. Maybe a Gatorade, something that really moisturizes and kind of replenishes. If you get something bitter like a coffee or stuff like that, more often than not you'll be talking and then it'll actually close your throat up. As it says there, bottom line, be self-sufficient. You don't want to have to come in and be like, well, I need a cord and it's 5 minutes and I can't make it down to Conops. Short of something that's going to cost you big bucks like a projector, just try to have as much of your own gear as possible. Amazon Prime is great for that. Last minute, 2 days before the con, you need a thing. Well, in 24 hours they can have it on your doorstep. So if you've got time, it's really helpful. Software. What do you probably need to use for doing a presentation? PowerPoint is pretty much the gold standard. Of course, Word. It might be something else with Excel sometimes. So Office is pretty good. If you don't have the money for Office, or you just want to use an alternative in general, LibreOffice is really, really good. In some ways, it even beats PowerPoint. I've actually made a presentation that was over 4 gigs in size because there were so many slides and videos in it, and it crashed PowerPoint. So I'm like, well, what do I do with this thing? So LibreOffice, at least at the time in the beta mode, actually had better capabilities than PowerPoint, and it would load that thing and run it. So you might be better off in some cases with alternative software. Apps-wise, there's a lot of stuff out there for phones. If you were doing a really large panel, there is software out there now that you can have everybody get a link or whatnot in the start of your presentation, maybe your first slide, have everybody download the app. You can do polls. You can do speaking from in the crowd. Like if this room was full, I could randomly have a list of people up on my laptop, and the guy would say, like, I'm number 23, and you press a button, and his phone just became his microphone. And he can talk through the whole system. That's really big for good cons, not so much small ones and something that's a personal setting. Fancy presentation stuff. There's a lot of stuff out there that'll do all kinds of crazy fancy graphics and have it swirling and motion and text will pop up out of the line and all this stuff. You don't need it. The bottom line is that you're here to impart information to people. All that fancy spinning stuff, all that will really do is make somebody in your audience who has some kind of visual or mental issue or disease or whatnot, they'll be in there and they'll want to hurl. We actually have had that happen with churches before. It's better to just stick to what works and be as little motion as possible. For basic audio and video editing, HitFilm 4 and VideoPad are both free. They're similar to an Adobe Premiere. You can get away with a lot of it, and they do have quite a few tutorials. So if you need to edit stuff, that's a good start. I personally use a lot of Photoshop for things, but there's other stuff like GIMP Shop, regular GIMP that you can use in lieu of that. You basically just need, cutting, splicing, cropping. The Windows snipping tool is very helpful. Research. You want to speak with authority, better known as do the work. Don't try to go into your panel, with a little bit just personal information. Verify your sources. Go out there, dig, sit on Reddit, talk to the fans. They will definitely tell you when you are wrong. Get as much information until your brain feels like it's going to pop in the middle. Go through, you want to be able to back up, and when somebody throws you a zinger, try to cover it. Just know your stuff. There's a lot of panels that I've been to where I was really thrilled about the topic that they had, and then it became, well, this is my opinion and therefore it's law. It doesn't work that way. So just try to do your best to proof your sources, put good information. That also will earn you a lot of respect from fans because they know when you're speaking stuff that's right versus stuff that's wrong. Learn from others. Like I said, check out Reddit. There's a lot of fan groups on there. You're going to want fan forums. For what few websites are probably still out there for certain series. Try and find stuff that's just not on Wikipedia. Stuff that's just not hearsay. Try to use specific examples. Use the Japanese. A lot of places, even Anime News Network, falls prey to the thing of they'll cite some website that they saw for 5 minutes or they ran it through Google Translate, and then the information there isn't quite accurate. You can have a native speaker go through and look at it and be like, this isn't quite what's being said. You get maybe like 50, 60%. If you use something like a Google Translate, random light. Let there be light. Too bad I didn't know that was coming, and I couldn't make a check out the Japanese sources. Again, this is something you can research through a lot of the fan groups if you don't know yourself. If you know a little bit of Japanese or know somebody that can help you with it, there are fan translations out there that can be sometimes useful for sources. At the same time, when I say that, not all fan translations are good. Sometimes people do it just for fun and to prank somebody else. So again, try to verify your sources. Is it trustworthy? Also, admit when you could be wrong. Learn from it. Hayao Miyazaki there famously said, anime was a mistake. Pretty sure he's wrong. Pretty sure. There's enough of fans around the world, it's enough of a billion-dollar industry at this point. But somebody in the crowd could be going through and saying, hey, you know, you're in error here. Well, first thing to learn from that is don't let them take over your panel. You know, address it, agree with them that, hey, that might be an issue. Then just move on. You know, make a note, go back, check your stuff, try to proceed with the panel, but don't stick on it and let things kind of lose control and direction. But of course, follow it up and try to see like if it was an error. They could be wrong. You could be wrong. You don't know. So you've got this idea, you've got the passion, you've got research ideas that you can maybe follow up on. So let's talk about actually putting it together. First thing you want to do is find some kind of comfortable workspace. Maybe this is someplace you sit with your laptop and it's quiet. Maybe you sit with headphones on, blot out the rest of the world. But you're going to want to try and brain dump as much as you possibly can. This works different for different folks. You might do it in little snippets over the course of the week. You might do it in 1 3-hour session and just hammer the thing out. Try and do a couple of drafts. You know, you want to, if it sounds a lot like an English class, you're right. A lot of that stuff that you probably don't want to use or haven't used in years, it comes back to haunt you. So thankfully there's no diagramming sentences. But try to do some drafts of it. One of the things you'll learn from doing panels over the years is that no panel is perfect. Every year I find a way of making something a little bit better. Especially this will be the first time I run this panel. So there'll probably be 4 or 5 more versions of it. Later tonight we've got a fake panel. That's about the 6th version of that one. Each time it gets a little bit better. So you want to add pictures. You know, Google image search is a great place to find pictures for stuff. You know, if you're just doing a quick panel or whatnot. Same thing with kind of videos. You know, lots of YouTube clips if you can, although a lot of the videos there are compressed and they end up looking kind of jaggy. Clips, trailers, AMVs are a great source if you're doing anime-related panels, because somebody has spent probably months, maybe years, working on a 2-minute-long clip that shows you a lot of the great scenes in an anime. It's a great place to find some information, give your panel a little extra punch. Interviews can be useful, especially in text format. Not so much the video interviews, because they tend to get really long and rambly and they just eat up a lot of your time. Humor has a place in pretty much everything. If you can get a humor kind of sidetrack going in your panel, if you can keep people kind of rolling, it'll forgive a lot of sins that you commit in terms of doing something wrong or not having something in the right place. Humor just kind of glosses over all that. Linear progression-wise, people's brains don't process information real well when it's kind of like a ginormous cloud and it's distributed all over the place and you're trying to mentally make these connections and kind of thread the needle all over. What you really want is an A, B, C, D, on to Z, going from like to like object to make that progression logical and simple. People are trying to digest what you're doing up here, trying to see what you're doing with your hands, how are you speaking, all these factors are processing in your mind. So you want to make it fairly straightforward, make it easy for them to digest it and remember it. So pacing and length. Best, if you can, segregate it into sections. This isn't always possible, but try to get it in like 5, 10, or 15-minute sections. Not only does that help with digesting it, but it also means that if you need to cut things short, you can easily decide where to cut some off at. If you're looking at an hour, you're looking at content for about 40 to 45 minutes. If you're looking at a half hour, that means you realistically have about 20 minutes. If you're doing anything longer than that, that's definitely a slog. It's very hard to do generally. It's very draining. It's easier to do if you have multiple panelists with you and you just kind of trade off. But you want to keep that to about 80% for longer periods. So still in composition, you want to try and record yourself like we're doing here, or do a dry run with an audience, see what they think about it, get feedback. You know, have somebody else proofread it. You might find out you've got grammar issues or stuff will flow better. Step away from it if you can. You know, get some headspace. Just get away from it for a while. You know, mow the lawn, read, do some music, watch an episode of Star Trek, and go on from there. Save as often as you feel comfortable crying over, which means you should be saving often, or even set up autosave would be best. I actually did this panel, went through after that 6 hours and thought, I haven't saved it all. Ooh, that's good. So I can wipe out a lot of work, it can ruin your con in some way. So just save all. Submitting it to the con. Generally, you probably already have an idea of what con you're going to be going or aiming for. You know, locally, you probably don't have too many options. This is true of pretty much anybody unless you're in a major city like LA or New York. So, research the con that you're trying to aim for. What is their kind of shtick? What's their main theme? What kind of guests are they bringing in? What other panels have they done in the past? Especially if you can get hold of the previous year's schedule, that can be super helpful. You know, if it's a con that is family appropriate, they're going to want stuff up until about 10 or 11 o'clock at night. They're going to want to keep it like PG-13. You know where your venue is. If we're talking about the Bible Belt, they're probably going to have tighter rules about stuff than you are in Miami. You know, time appropriate, like I said, if it's going to be something prior to about 10 o'clock at night, probably going to be PG-13. After that, they get into the 18 plus, 21 plus type stuff. You're going to want to list it that way when you submit it to the con. Especially if they don't have a pre-set up form to kind of narrow all that down. Make a blurb for the guy in the schedule. This needs to be super short. Super short. A blurb for the programming guide, you can look at the guide you got, but ultimately it's going to be something that's about half a sentence, maybe a full sentence in length. Whereas the actual entry in the schedule needs to be about 3 or 4 words long at most. Contact the con by finding the right person. Sometimes that's your programming director. They will generally be the ones that want to talk to you the most. They may have a dedicated panelist. They may have a separate email. Generally that can be found out through their website. A lot of people find out that when you submit it, it goes to a general bucket, and then somewhere along the line somebody reads the email once in a while. If you've got a direct person who's in charge of something, like a panel or a programming director, generally you get a lot better response out of things. So make your submission. Reap the benefits. Once you get it in there, follow up. You want to go in, make sure you haven't heard anything from them in a month. Follow up with the programming director. Once you get your confirmation, share it on social media. Let all your other people know so you can get people in the room. Pre-event, check software updates. Do your Office updates, do your Windows updates, do your Mac updates, do your antivirus updates. We just came from a panel here a little bit ago. They had Norton antivirus pop up going, you're out of your time period. You need to renew, buy our product. It's distracting. It's annoying. It keeps popping up. Do a dry run. You can do this at home. Hook up to your TV, get an HDMI cable. Maybe you'll find out that the videos don't work when you try to use PowerPoint and it shows up on that second screen. Try to know everything about your computer as much as possible. Cell phones, put it on vibrate. Get your notifications. Whether again that's Windows or your phone or whatever, make that silent. Anything that can be distracting from what you're trying to accomplish in your day. So get your gear together. If you're doing a lot of panels, you may want to segregate it in quick bags and just kind of bunch it up. That way you can grab it and go, especially if you've got a hotel on site. It's super helpful. Make backups. Definitely make backups. Put it on a USB stick. Put it on your hard drive. Put it in the cloud, on your phone, on paper. Write it in stone if you have to. But make backups. More than 2. Charge all the things. You might want to bring a portable battery brick. That way you can charge your phone, keep it in your back pocket, charge your friend's phone. Just bring extra batteries, especially if you've got a clicker or some extra piece of tech. You know, needs AAAs, needs AAs, whatever. Bring some spares of those. Keep your health up. Worst thing you can try and do is a long series of panels, and you got strep throat, you got bronchitis. Terrible. So try and take like what's the name of that stuff? Emergency, airborne, stuff like that. Walmart actually makes a knockoff of that. It's under their Equate brand. It actually comes in more flavors than the original. I gotta say the berry's not too bad. Orange, not so good. It's like carbonated orange juice and stuff like toothpaste. That's about it. But the berry's not too bad. So take some of that, take your vitamins, get some exercise. I'm not saying go out and run in winter, but you know, keep yourself up in good shape. You know, you're probably working a 9 to 5 or something. You've got other people, you know, maybe if you work in IT, you got to deal with nasty keyboards. You got to worry about people sneezing, picking up handsets and phones, or if you're in food service, there's all kinds of complications there. So in the week or 2 prior to you actually having to run stuff, try and keep your health up as much as possible. Wear gloves, you know, stay warm, etc. Have some soup. So you're coming into the space. You've got your panel ready. It's go time. You want to badge up early. Get here early. You might have to actually get your badges someplace else. You know, whether that's the exhibitor dock, or maybe they keep their stuff separate. Maybe they open early before everyone else gets to come in. So check the schedule daily. You want to check the app, check the online stuff. Maybe there's a discrepancy. Maybe they don't know about it. Just come in, check everything. Make sure you know where you're going. Make yourself your own checklist. Know where you're going. Get into the con early. Take a walk around. Find the bathrooms. Find the water fountains. Find the rooms where you're going to be in. Where's your exits in case something happens? Where's your points of reference in case you need to call your friends up or whoever and say, oh yeah, I'm by the blah, 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 blah. Take a leak. Being a panelist means that you probably have anxiety. Your body's trying to flush itself. You're going to need water. You're going to need to be hydrated. You're going to be walking around all day. It's going to be hot. So use the bathroom. Don't worry about it. You know, get some water. Have some me time. Try to chill before you go and do your panel. It'll help you not only with your vocal cords, but it'll keep you from rambling super fast all the way through all your slides. You can be 35 minutes early to get out of the room. So check their equipment and your equipment. I have been to many conventions where you come in and you're missing your HDMI cable. Can't connect to your projector. You're missing your audio cables. Can't get your microphones to work. Somebody decided to remove the power cord. It's all missing. You have computer problems. You need as much time, if at all possible, before the room is even empty for you to come into. Power up your laptop. Get that thing running. Let it go through its first 2.5 minutes of boot up time. Just kind of sit in there, let it go. If you can, come into the room during the past panel. Just sit down quietly, work on your stuff. Just be as much prepared as you can. That goes back into having your own hardware in case you need anything in an emergency, like an adapter or some such. Most cons are going to give you 1 or 2 microphones and a projector as the base sound system and projection equipment. That's just kind of universal in general these days. So just kind of be prepared for that. Do a mic check. Mics are all over the place. I honestly don't think I've ever been to a convention that had their mic set right. And that's me saying that from 12 years of soundboard experience. When they're too quiet or they're super duper loud and they screech and feedback and make everybody run out of the room. Make sure everything's plugged in. You might have a hum. It might go into your laptop and be really annoying. If you've got handouts, put them out on the end of your table, put them out on a chair. You might have somebody else who stands on the side of, on the exit door saying, oh, hey, have one of these. If you're there 15, 20, 30 minutes early, like I said, do a practice run. Get started, make sure everything's working, it's happy. Maybe it doesn't like being hooked up to that fancy projector. Start on time whenever possible. Don't be afraid to cut it short. If you need to cut it short, you might have new people coming into the room there towards the end, and they've got questions, and then you can restart. You can pad it with questions from the crowd. That's always a possibility. Easy to do. Generally, if you know your material well enough, you can fill in that extra time just fangirling out about some particular topic that somebody else in the audience also thought was cool. So it's really not a big deal to have time left over. And plus, it helps if you leave early, it helps the next person coming in start on time. Speaking is kind of an issue of personal preference and personal capability. Every person has their own style. Styles change over time. You will get better over time. Even during the course of this presentation, I've said a bunch. When you try to do stuff for YouTube and you start recording that stuff out, you're like, oh my gosh, did I really say and all that many times? So over time, you'll get better. You'll learn, your weaknesses, your strength, adapt. So it's kind of like a pause. You get used to it. You go, oh, well, that's not I hear what's going on here. But it's something you can improve on. So again, have somebody proofread your stuff, listen to you, record it. You'll get better a lot than that way. Practice also makes perfect. So if you join like kind of like a podcast or something for your fandom, that can be super helpful in getting you used to talking to other people. Passionate, how you present yourself. You can do a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different YouTubes out there, classes and courses on how you can do a presentation. There's people that typically, just because it's the way it's set up here, they'll have the tables up behind here. You're going to sit down in front of the table, and somebody's going to hide behind their computer screen. And that's all you'll see of them. Generally, that's not a good idea because you can't really relate to the person when you're pretty much the same list. So, it's not a bad idea if you can bring a stool or something. It's a good idea to try and get out in front of the table. Connect with your audience. It's a lot easier to get up to somebody and say, oh, hey, what do you think about this? You can go through, get up into your PowerPoint a little more, show off stuff. Don't walk in front of the table. So, it goes back to how are you relating to your audience? How are you connecting to those people? Are you seeing a response in them? Are they paying attention? Are they looking at their phone, looking at the next thing? Look at your audience, see what they're doing, see if they're kind of engaged. That goes into the connecting to it. You don't want to also talk down to your audience. Anytime you get up and do a presentation, it's an opportunity to connect with folks. You've got a golden opportunity to basically make more fans. More people that are into the same thing you are. That's a rare thing. So this is something from Randall Monroe. He's the author of Wit Comic XKCD. He also has released several books. I'm going to give you a minute or two to just read through this. Or I can narrate it for the camera here. But basically it says, even if you already know the right way to do all these things, it can be helpful to try and look at the world with the eyes of someone who doesn't. After all, for anything that everyone knows, by the time they reach adulthood, every day over 10,000 people in the United States alone are learning it for the first time. That's why I don't like making fun of people for admitting they don't know something or never learned how to do something. Because if you do that, all it does is teach them not to tell you when they're learning something. And you miss out on the fun. This book may not teach you how to throw a ball, how to ski, or how to move, but I hope you learn something from it. And if you do, you're one of today's lucky 10,000. Like I said, it's an opportunity to connect with people, make new friends, make compatriots in whatever goal you have. It's another way, sometimes it's a form of networking. You might find out that somebody in the audience is high up in some organization or whatever. Maybe now they want to sponsor you for the thing you're talking about. So consider every chance you get an opportunity. So getting back to speaking, position. Again, you can move around. One of the things that I find a lot from being in worship service and stuff like that is no one knows how to use a microphone properly. What you want to do generally is have your microphone and treat it like an ice cream cone. It needs to be within licking distance. So you want it up here like this, talking normally, not all the way down here where it can't hear you, all the way down near your stomach, or just kind of holding it, kind of like you're a blues brother. So you want it up where you can be heard all the way in the back. That's especially true for singers, all that. Generally, the only time you ever see them doing that whole away thing is when they want it to echo or fade out. But the rules also change if you use a headset mic and like a boom on the side. You don't want it necessarily too close where you're breathing into it, or it's got a wind filter on it. Try to keep that a couple inches away. Is basic. Limiting the use of ahs. That's again something you kind of have to burn out of your system. I haven't gotten there yet. Personal examples. One of the great ways to relate to people, keep it in memory, is to tell a funny story. We had a pastor at our church at one point that talked about how they got broke down on the side of the road and they walked for miles and miles and miles, and they were destitute and had nothing. And in the middle of the road, they found a pineapple just sitting there. And they ate that pineapple, and it was great and wonderful and all that. Now, I couldn't tell you about what he spoke about the rest of the day, but I still remember that pineapple. So, personal examples are good. It kind of sets kind of like a monument in memory space about something you can chain events to. Humor, again, whatever your personal kind of style is, sarcastic, witty, maybe you can use pictures to kind of roll into that. Humor covers a multitude of sins. Dealing with stage fright. Like I said before, this is your time to shine. It's an opportunity. Make the best of it while you've got it. You can listen to music. That's great for dealing with anxiety or stress or whatnot. Just jam out. Bring a friend. Have the friend bug the car out. Great. Totally forget what you were worried about. Start small. Build up as your confidence and experience grows. We all started somewhere. There is nobody on this planet that started out as amazing and brilliant and whatever. They all have to work at it. Scan your audience. When you're talking, maybe you've got a little bit of anxiety, you can't look people in the eye. What you want to do is just kind of scan back and forth. If you're going old school, think about Knight Rider or maybe Data or Geordie LaForge, and you're just kind of going back and forth. Maybe a silent kind of work. You're just kind of going back and forth. You go from pick one point over here, pick one point over there, go back and forth. Once in a while, stop scanning because then don't worry if you have a neck problem. But scan your audience, pick a point, psych yourself up. I like to think of the point in Rurouni Kenshin where he's fighting Jin'ei in the first few episodes. And the guy takes his sword out and he looks at it and he blows his eyeballs up real bright or real big, and he scares himself into believing that he's super powerful and his muscles will get real big all of a sudden. You basically need to fool yourself into believing you'll be all right, and then believe it, if that makes sense. So psych yourself up. If you've got a routine, maybe you don't want to do eye of the tiger or a bunch of punches while you're sitting over your con, but you get the idea. Also, forgive yourself. This is a hard thing to do. I'm not real great at this either. So you've done a panel, or you're working on it, you didn't get enough time, you didn't get enough sleep, other things came up, you couldn't get to the con on time, you show up late. We're only human. We can only do so much. Learn from it. Just look at it objectively, not personally, and and figure out a way to do better. Just move on, do it better next year. Don't forget about it. Just commit to doing a little bit better. And build on it year over year. Challenges and things to avoid. People that won't leave when you need to set up. They're still in here. It's 5 after. They're eating into your time. Well, the best thing to do is generally go to con ops, complain to them. Nicely. They're probably stressed out too. But they will generally come in and go, hey, your time's up. Scoot. People that are jerks. I've actually had people snoring in my panels before. Not, I think, because I was boring, but because either they were being a jerk or they were exceptionally tired. I'm hoping it's the latter. You know, talking in the background. People on their phones. People that just like to sit in and go, well, that's not the way it is. You know, stuff that are just being people to be mean. Generally, depending on your experience level and how much other stuff you've got going on, you can either tell them to stop, but if they don't, again, contact the con, staff, con ops, whatever you've got nearby, grab a staffer, they'll generally take care of it. Don't give away the microphone. So a lot of cons, especially when you get into the bigger rooms and stuff like that, either they will give you somebody to do this, or you can have a friend, or they'll have a stationary mic set up somewhere down a path of chairs, and you'll have like 2 sets of chairs, a row down the middle, and they'll have people want to come up and take the mic, or you'll have somebody go out to the crowd, they'll give the mic away. What happens when you give the mic away is that they effectively have taken over your con, or not your con, but your panel. So they control how long they speak, they control what they say. It can be super embarrassing. It can make say something that everybody in the audience groans over, because maybe it's something that's been already answered. Maybe it's something that's totally inappropriate. A lot of times, guests get asked questions of a sexual nature, totally inappropriate. Don't give the microphone away. What you want to do instead, have them on some kind of a way of cutting them off. You know, do this number where you've got them for a couple seconds and then take it back. But don't let the mic get away from you. Avoid buying junk. I've learned this the hard way a lot of times until I quit doing it. You can get away with buying, you know, El Cheapo stuff, a lot of Chinese stuff. I've had to use tacks and bore out screw holes on Chinese stuff that was metric. You know, we've got a set of stand poles actually down in our booth that I had to buy a second set of stand poles. I had to bore out the holes. I had to replace all the hardware. I need to replace the bag. And those were about $50 stand poles. I've put about another $80 to $100 into them since owning them. Just buy a better set of poles to begin with. You wouldn't have that problem. One of the first things I learned when I went to Anime Central, and I went to their 10-pound panel back in 2006, was check your wallpaper before you start doing a panel, because it could be something kind of weird or inappropriate. Make sure your noises, your cell phone ringtone, all that isn't something inappropriate. Try to, make your hardware, like I said, have backups, have spares. You might want to put your presentation not only on the laptop, but also on your phone. A lot of times you can connect your phone up to a dongle or something and share it with the projector. Never, ever, ever, ever count on con Wi-Fi or cell phone signal. This is kind of a rare instance where even this con has got usable Wi-Fi. It's very slow, but at least it's there and it's mostly working. You might have cell phone signal problems in a lot of conventions because they're mostly concrete and rebar. Communicate with the con staff, like I said, your programming director, both prior and after the event. Thank them for having you. They'll most likely have you back. Have a gopher if you can. Try to go through so that maybe you need something immediately, or you need a cable or a tripod or whatnot. Go ahead and have somebody available to do that. You might need something in an emergency, or to go contact somebody. Wrapping up, if you got a drive-through or whatnot, use cough drops. That's a good secret. I have those right here. They're great for not only numbing your throat, but allows you to keep talking if you don't have water or something else. I don't recommend putting cough drops in your pants pocket, because now I have a pocket knife that doesn't really open somebody dedicated to doing that because you won't be able to stop, constantly check your recording system. Part of that too, I recorded one thing a long time ago and the camera actually stopped after 45 minutes and I didn't have much of a panel after that. Try to avoid doing multiple panels a day. If you're a beginner, you really want to keep that to 1 to 2. If you're experienced, 3 or 4 or more. Again, it's really helpful if you can get somebody else to help you with it and take on parts of the paneling and just alternate. You're also expected to eat in your convention time and your stress level. Also, eat stuff. Your body's a chemical engine. So make sure you get a decent, halfway decent meal, something that's hot, not something that came out of a plastic wrapper. Go through, sit for a few minutes, have a drink, de-stress, some food in there. You'll work better as a result. So now it's your turn. Give me some feedback. Go make your own panel. Do the thing. Be the best you. Join our anime group, our fan page right out there in the hall. Profit.